So, midlife mental health, it's such an important part of our well-being, but one that often flies, well, just a little bit under the radar. And, I was thinking about this in terms of my own mental health, and I guess it's something that I'm so much more aware of these days than ever before. I'm of an age, 61 last week to be precise, where we just didn't acknowledge that we needed to pay very much attention to our mental health. Didn't really think about it, let alone talk about it. And thankfully that has changed over the years, and I think there's a lot of value actually in sharing with others because our own experiences can often help someone else. So I really wanted to be quite frank actually and open up the conversation around mental health today, particularly in midlife, and the things that I do to keep myself feeling a little bit more uplifted. Because life is tough, it's challenging, isn't it? It's not always the glossiness that it looks like on Instagram. And there's so much that I wanted to talk about here, but I guess, want to start by kicking off the conversation with the link between hormones and our mood. We've talked about this before, but it's really important. So many women talk about having low mood and feeling depressed during menopause or perimenopause, the time leading up to that. And too often, they're just wrongly placed on antidepressants. And I actually had a question here the other day asking if I am against antidepressants. And my straightforward answer to that is no. I'm totally not against them. Clinically, really useful. Of course, I would rather that we can prioritise other lifestyle factors first, of course, good nutrition, exercise, mental health practices, all of that. But absolutely, antidepressants can be a really helpful step for some with clinical depression. And of course, it's really difficult to prioritise a healthy lifestyle when depression is keeping us trapped under the duvet. And, in some cases, of course, going on antidepressants can give a much needed lift, a little bit of a break in the proceedings of life, and allow us to start taking a look at other areas of health where, we might not have had the energy before, or the ability, the clarity of thought. I guess my issue here is that antidepressants are not going to help women when their low mood is caused by lowering hormones, because the treatment here should be to top up those lowered hormones, with HRT. And in doing so, when that happens, a lot of women in that situation do notice a huge difference in their mood straight away, immediately, sometimes overnight. And there is no clinical evidence to show antidepressants cure depression caused by lowered hormones. Low levels of hormones are the root cause. It makes sense that bringing them back up to a brain healthy level is going to be the answer, not a kind of numbing chemical kosh, which essentially is what antidepressants are doing. They're not actually resolving the issue, they're just numbing the symptoms. So for me, personally, I felt very flat before HRT, and I sometimes struggled to find real joy. And that's something that I know that many other midlife women report too. And the flatness of mood can be very real, and it's not a nice place to find yourself in, to be honest. And since replacing my own lowering hormones, my mood has become a lot more consistent. I feel much more uplifted and motivated. If that was the same for you, drop me a comment, love to have that conversation. And I guess, frankly, just a bit more joy. And I write about that in A Better Second Half. What I'm saying is that if you have noticed your mood plummet during midlife and you aren't on HRT, this is the first thing that I would say to really take a look at and make an appointment to chat through with your GP, your medical practitioner. You can download the free Balance Menopause app to track your symptoms and then take that and start that conversation. And I think the next thing kind of on the list for me was purpose. Finding purpose in life is actually one of the most important things that we can do for our mental health. And when you think about it, it's the reason why we get up in the morning and we crack on with the day. And over the years, I think my own sense of purpose has intensified, actually. I guess partly because I'm more aware than ever that it's so important to feel that you're a contributor in life, I guess being part of the solution and not part of the problem. But also because I don't think any of us actually, if we think about it, want to get to the end of our life and then look back thinking, was that it? Why was I here? What was the point of it all? And I have a whole section on this actually in A Better Second Half, because it is very relevant to living well and longevity and protecting our brain. And if this is something that you find yourself struggling with, then yeah, I would highly recommend taking a read of that bit in particular. Also, at this time of life, so many of us might also be facing the prospect of an empty nest too. I know I am. And this can feel incredibly daunting, but also perhaps in some ways exciting too. But it's another opportunity for us to learn more about ourselves without the distraction of looking after others, and find out who we truly are, how we absolutely want to live our own lives. So I still have my youngest living at home with me, but my 4 older children have all spread their wings now. They only return home for high days and holidays, and then even these are increasingly infrequent. And I guess initially I found this quite hard to cope with because it's a real change. But now I do actually look forward to quieter weekends and times when I can focus more on my friends, for example, more time for them, and also, yeah, frankly, a bit more time for me, doing a bit of home gym, maybe online exercise classes or a bit of yoga, which I used to never have time for at the weekend. Maybe a bit of Sunday self-care in the bathroom, face packs, all of that. Bit of a mani-pedi. So that is definitely a positive. And I think that connections with yourself and with others, with community, with friends, for example, and a sense of purpose are really key for helping to protect our mental health. So obviously lifestyle plays a huge factor. You know, we know just how much influence our gut health has on our mood, and there's so much chat, isn't there, about the gut-brain axis and how what is happening in the gut affects how we feel in our heads. And so to that end, looking at what we eat is really key too. So for me, things like prioritising protein, so put that first on your plate, always protein first, and then load up with healthy fats, very good for the brain, lots of green veggies, particularly things like broccoli, and then add in some fermented foods as well. So I talk about things like kombucha, you can drink that, kefir, another really good thing, kimchi. You know, these will all keep our gut bugs happy, and of course cutting down on the sugars and the ultra-processed foods, because on the opposite end of the scale, these are the things that really damage our gut health and in turn will potentially damage our mental health. And then there are a few other, I guess, genuine mood boosters that I like to sprinkle in throughout the day. If you watch me on my Instagram, you'll know that my cold water spritz in the morning, whether that's a quick dip in my pond, that's at home, or a 60-second blast, icy blast at the end of my shower, that's really great for a quick pick-me-up. And it's clinically proven to give us a boost of the happy brain chemical serotonin. So if you do that cold water icy blast first thing, then after a couple of hours, you just suddenly find yourself feeling a bit happier due to that cold therapy. And then movement, that's also really key. So I start most mornings with a bit of a workout. It might just be a few squats in my pajamas in the bedroom, but even on a rest day, I will go for a walk outside. And nature is just such a huge mood booster. I know so many of you say that too. It's one of the common threads actually that we talk about on social media. And you know, the science shows that looking at the colour green uplifts us, and then natural sounds we might hear like birdsong can calm anxiety, and even the trees, you know, they release phytochemicals that help to support our immune system, so we feel better and fitter and stronger. So definitely get outside. Even better, of course, if the sun is shining, because then we get some vitamin D, we synthesize that through our skin. And the outdoors really is a natural pharmacy of goodness. So let's get out and immerse ourselves in it. Well, all of this and more is, of course, in my ultimate guide to a longer, healthier and ultimately happier life, A Better Second Half. I have packed a lot of research into this book, and it really is all the top tips, biohacks, life lessons, all the things that I've picked up over the years. So I will include a link below if you'd like to get a copy, if you haven't already. And there's actually all kinds of other sections there as well. There is a specific whole section on brain health and looking at things like supplements for the brain, really important, and a deep dive into things like medicinal mushrooms. So some of these weird and wonderful things like lion's mane, for example, for brain health, being shown to potentially help protect against dementia and Alzheimer's. Really interesting medicinal mushroom, that one. Well, do let me know how you protect your own mental health in the comments below. Love to hear what steps you're taking, what have you found to be particularly useful. And don't forget to click to subscribe to this channel and I look forward to seeing you back here next time.